Hello everyone and welcome to algotrading.pro. In this video, we are going to try to use Facebook's profit forecasting tool in order to predict Facebook's stock price. So what exactly is profit? Well, it was introduced to the world in an article. Let's search for it. Facebook profit article. Sorry about that. Horrible typing. Here it is, the article. So it's a forecasting method that is being used by Facebook to predict time series for all. They use it for all kinds of business problems. So it's their tool of choice at Facebook. They are not using ARIMA, autoregressive integrated moving averages models, or Arch models, or neural networks, or whatnot. They have created their own model, and it is very different than other models. If you're familiar with ARIMA or Arch, I'm sure you understand. Will understand how different this is. If you are mathematically inclined, here is how they calculate, how they calculate the model. So basically, this component is the trend. This component is the seasonality. This component is holidays, they call them. Well, it's point events, situations where things can go to extremes and so on and so forth. And this has been, of course, an error term, noise, pretty much. Anyway, they have a very detailed mathematical description of how they calculate those components. I highly recommend the article. It's very good. And I will also point you to another important document, which is the profit R package documentation. So basically, they released profit to the world, free as in free beer, right? You can use it freely. And they released it to the world in two forms, as a Python code and as an R Python library, and as an R library. So you can use either one. I will use the R package here. And this is the documentation for that R package. All the options, settings, and fine tuning that you may want to do in Profit, you can find here. All the descriptions, all the parameters, what they do, and so on and so forth. This will be useful to us during this exercise. Now, one great thing about Profit is that it is extremely easy to use. If you ever worked with ARIMA models or Arch models or neural networks, you know that those are very complicated things to make work. Okay, so nothing really works out of the box with other models. But Profit was designed to work straight out of the box with minimal coding, to be very easy to use, and they really wanted anyone at Facebook to be able to use it. Regardless of if they understand these parameters or not. Of course, if you do know how to fine-tune Profit, it's very good, but it just works out of the box. Okay, so let's see what we can do with it. And I thought it would be fun to try to predict Facebook stock using their own tool. Now, many of you know that trying to predict the next days, or the number of days in advance, stock prices, it's more of a fool's errand than some serious trading, but that's another conversation. However, I was curious to see if their model does at least a decent job at predicting stock prices. So, all right, with without further ado, the first thing we need is, of course, data, right? We need historical data. So let's go to Yahoo. Okay, and let's search for Facebook stock. Many of you remember it used to be FB, right? Facebook. But since then, they changed the name of the company. It's no longer Facebook, it's Meta. And the ticker was changed from FB to Meta. All right, so here it is. These annoying things. Here it is. So let's click on historical data, and let's say that we want all the data that exists, the historical data that Facebook has, and apply that. And now let's download this. Now, of course, I could have downloaded this in R directly with a few commands, but I wanted you to see something important first, and this is why I'm doing it with a web browser and Excel. So let's open this file. Okay, so this is a file that you're probably very familiar with, right? This is the date, open, high, low, close, adjusted close, and volume. Now, all we need to give profit is the date and the adjusted close. So I'm going to, this is a univariate time series prediction exercise, not a multivariate. You can do that in profit, I think, but this is the simplest thing you can do, right? So I'm going to delete these files, okay? And now the next thing is very important. Profit doesn't accept the date, and this is what I wanted to show you. I wanted to see this. Profit doesn't accept the date in this format. It requires another format, and you'll need to do this. Of course, it can be done in R, I know, but this is for beginners, okay? So you can adjust this date, the format of the date here, and please select this dash format, okay? This is the format that Profit needs, and by default, the date is not formatted like that here. Okay, so we have changed the date format, and now there is something else we need to change. In Profit, the input columns are supposed to be called DS and Y. Do not ask me why, what DS means and why. Y is, well, usually a dependent variable of some X, but anyway. So DS and Y, call Mark Zuckerberg and ask him why these columns are. So DS and Y, date in this format, we are all set and good to go. Okay, so let's save this, of course. It is saved now, and just to make sure, because sometimes mistakes and problems happen, just to make sure, let's see if the format that we want was preserved. And now we're not opening the file with Excel, but with Notepad, just to make sure, okay? So we have DS and Y, we have the date in the right format, and the adjusted close. Okay, excellent. So the file now is ready for us to work with it. Now let's fire up RStudio. And here in RStudio, the first thing you need to do is install the required libraries. The first one, of course, is Profit. Okay, and let's install it. And then the next library that we will need to install is Tidyverse. So we need these two packages, these two libraries, in order for this to work. This installation takes a while, but you'll only do this once, right? So R only needs to install the libraries once, and then you can call them every time you need. Okay, so Profit is installed, and now let's install Tidyverse. All right. It will not work, guys, if you don't have these installed. So please make sure you install them before anything else. You can install them by code as well. R has commands for installing packages, but I thought the graphical user interface, it's easier. Okay, so now that we have installed them, the first thing we need to do is to call them, right? We do this library Prophet. Now it's here, we can do this. So we call the Prophet library, and then the other library we mentioned was tidyverse. Tidyverse, okay. All right, we got some conflicts and warnings here, just ignore them. Okay, so now we have everything we need. The first thing to do here, of course, is to load the file that we just modified, downloaded from Yahoo Finance and modified for Prophet. And we are going to call this, so we need to load that into a data structure. Let's call it Facebook. Okay, equals read. We're going to use the read CSV file, read CSV, and with the argument file choose, another function, choose. Okay, what does this do? Well, it lets us open a CSV file, but we don't provide the name of the file. It lets us choose it by sort of point and click. So once we run this, we're going to get a window here that will allow us, hopefully, to open that file that we downloaded and modified, which is meta CSV, and we open that. All right, I didn't want you to struggle with changing our folder path directory things. This is why I use this file choose function. Okay, so now we have here that historical data in the format that Prophet wants. So now I will show you how easy and simple it is to create a Prophet model. So let's call it model for the lack of a more imaginative name. So model equals Prophet of Facebook. The argument we pass here is Facebook. That's all it is. So, oh, I don't need, this isn't a check. This is just I don't need to equal sign. Sorry about that. So it's as easy as this. So model equals Prophet of Facebook. And now we got a model. As you can see, it's pretty fast. It didn't take a lot of time to run. Now, what we need to do is to create a data frame to store the future predictions. Okay, so let's call this future. Okay, future of Facebook, at least of Meta stock. So future is make equals make future data frame, right? This is the function we need. And the arguments are the model. Unsurprisingly, we need our model that was built on the past data, okay? And we need a period, periods they call it. How far into the future do we want to predict the price of the Facebook stock, okay? This can be any number, from 1 meaning tomorrow to 365, whatever. That is, of course, a year, okay? It's as simple as this. This is just the data frame. It's not filled with any predictions yet. So if we would look at it, it would be an empty thing. Actually, you can look at it. We're gonna use the head function. Okay, It's just an empty data frame having inside the future dates that we asked for predictions for. All right, so we have the data structure. Now let's fill it up. Let's fill this up with the future values of the Facebook stock price. How do we do that? Well, we call another profit function. Let's call this forecast. Okay, this is the future. And the function is predict. Predict. Okay, it's really simple. Predict, and this is going to predict based on the model, and it will save the data into this future data structure we created, data frame. All right, so now the prediction happens. It's gonna take a little bit, not very long though. I've seen people doing this in the cloud, in Google's GPU-based compute platform, and so on and so forth. Well, that's great. It's just that this kind of thing does not require that kind of firepower or computation power. It works just fine on my desktop here in R. All right, so now we have the forecast, okay? Let's take a look at this forecast. What exactly do we have? Head? Oh, I'm sorry, head, not heads. Oh, sorry about it. So this is how it looks like. It's a lot of numbers, guys. But what we are interested in is that, you know, the prediction is the piece here, the column here, called y hat. Where is it? Here, the last one. So this is the prediction of the stock price itself. Okay, this column y hat, and it has upper bounds, lower bounds. You know, it has a trend. It has a few other things that are best seen visually. Sorry about that. This table doesn't tell us much. A picture is better. So we are going to use dynamic plot dot profit and model. The arguments are the model, of course, and the forecast. And this is going to show us a picture. Hopefully. It does. Okay. So what do we see here? What do we see here? Well, we see the past and we see the future. We see the future here. Okay. Well, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, it doesn't seem to be this profit model doesn't seem to be particularly good at predicting exact values. So obviously there isn't much accuracy here, but somehow it seems to be capturing the trends. So it seems that the trends are where the firepower is here, or the value. So now we were talking about changing some parameters. Well, I see here this piece in the future, the prediction, and I see in it there is a seasonality component to it. Let's take a better look. This is the dynamic. We asked for a dynamic graph. Yeah, so as you can see, there is something that looks almost periodic here, and that is because profit, as you know, has a seasonality component, and somehow it built this thing here that is completely unrealistic. So we know that this can't be true, right? So what can we do in a situation like this? Well, here is where our first optimization comes in. So let me show you in the manual, in the profit manual. We don't need this anymore. Okay, so there is a description of all the parameters. Okay, and there is one related to how much seasonality should matter in this model. Should it matter a lot? Should it matter just a little bit? And so on and so forth. So let me search here seasonality Okay, it's not this. Um, oh, come on. Where are you? Sorry about that. I'm sure it's there, but uh, okay, here it is. So the parameter I was looking for is this seasonality prior scale. So this controls how important the seasonality component is to our model. Okay, so we are going to basically change our model here. Where did we create the model? Here. So model equals profit of Facebook, but we're going to add this parameter here, seasonality prior scale, which now is 10 by default. We're going to change this. We are going to change this to 0.1 or whatever small value you want to do. The rest stays the same, right? We need to make the future data frame. We need to make the prediction again, right? Because now we changed the model. So now we have a new model in which the seasonality matter much less, right? And now let's plot this again. There you go. So as soon as we told Prophet that seasonality shouldn't matter much, that crazy artifact here disappeared. Okay, so Prophet believes. So this video is shot today, March 3rd. Facebook was about there, uh, and their own model believes that it's gonna go down, and we should go short. I'm not gonna do that, but I'm gonna check back in a few days and see what exactly the Facebook, the Meta stock did. Anyway, another thing that I will show you here is that you can decompose that model. Um, you can decompose the model into its components, and you can look at them separately at each one of them. So the function for that is um, profit plot components, unsurprisingly, right? And we need to provide it the model and the forecast. Okay, and this is going to show us the components. Okay, and here what we see is the trend component. Remember the three components: a trend and the seasonality and the holidays and noises and whatnot. Here we can see the trend and the sort of the seasonality. Why does this matter in trading? Well, it does, because right now the Prophet is fairly confident that the Facebook stock is on a downtrend. And here is this bluish area around the trend, is the probability. So you may end up there or down here, not necessarily in the middle, but this is what Prophet believes the probabilities are. We have here a weekly component, and it appears that the Facebook stock is more expensive on Monday than on Friday. Sunday and Saturday are here because Prophet doesn't know that this is a stock price and there are no trades on Sunday or Saturday, but this can be fixed, but not in this video. And then again, you have some seasonality. It appears that yearly seasonality, that Facebook is cheaper in April and more expensive in October. Again, take these with a grain of salt, guys, but because Prophet doesn't know that there are no trades on weekends, so these graphs may look a little different if we took that into account, which can be done, but not in this simple video. Okay, so um, uh, also here in this graph, I wanted to clarify that these areas around the curve are the bluish areas, right? This is the error, the possible error that Prophet believed, the sort of a confidence interval. Not the confidence, I'm sorry, not the confidence interval, the error, the margin of error that can happen. And as you can see, when you know things aren't spiking too much, you know, it kind of captures the trend pretty well. So if you, for example, if you bought here, or here, or I don't know, or here, right, and you sold, I don't know, here, this would have been a pretty neat trade. I mean, yeah. So, is this model tradable like this? Probably not. I wouldn't buy stock based on a prediction like this. But this model can be tuned. Parameters can be optimized, and so on and so forth. However, this is beyond the scope of this video. Now, if you wanted to trade this, this is R, right? This is R code. Can you trade this? If this were tradable, can you trade this in Zoro Trader? Of course you can, because as you know, Zoro Trader can make calls to R. So if you wanted to ask R, hey, what do you think the price is going to be? So from Zoro, you could send a call to R and say, hey, what's gonna be the price tomorrow? And R would, or you know, in a year, and R would respond, well, this is gonna be the price. Then you can, you know, enter short here, and you know, Zoro Trader can do that for you. Uh, how do you do that? And you know, I think it would be a fun exercise, but this is something more advanced. So how do you do that? Well, come to our website. Okay, come to our website, which is algotrading.pro. You see it down here. And sign up, and I mean, register, sign up, and there is going to be a video there later about Prophet and how it can interact with Zoro and so on and so forth. The registration is free, guys. So it is free as in free beer. You don't need a credit card. You don't need anything, just an email address and a passport. Okay. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel so that you won't miss any further videos, which are going to come rather soon. Thank you very much for watching. Come to our website and happy trading.